Are you rethinking your purpose in life? Being centered in a strong spiritual connection is more important now than ever. Hi, I'm Bryn Blankinship, hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. Each episode, I'll share my experiences with guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and the soul lessons gained, prompting you to explore your own soul's journey and empowering you by shifting your perception of yourself and your place in this world. I want you to know that you're here by design, not by accident. You are not alone. You are loved. You are here on purpose, for a purpose. When you stand in your truth and fulfill your purpose, you support others in fulfilling theirs. If this intrigues you, stay tuned in as we explore. Hey everybody, I'm Bryn Blankinship. I'm your host today of the Afterlife Teacher. And we're going to talk about inherited pain, generational wounds. And, in my practice, sometimes that comes up. So we can work with soul memories, but we can also work with ancestral memories. And we're going to talk about why this matters, right? Why does it matter that an ancestral wound is there and that it may come up? And what is the purpose of inherited pain? Because it serves a purpose, and there are patterns that get passed down in families. And, you start to notice it when you start looking back along the family line. But the thing is, you are the bridge. You are here to transform it if you choose to. So taking a deeper dive into that, you can explore it, understand it, and then move out of that pattern. So when we're revisiting these patterns of the past, it's an opportunity for healing. And think of it as your ancestors were in pain, but they were trying to survive. And so it's the soul's way of saying, look, I've been here before, and the healing makes it safe to remember and move back past and move on from. So in the past situation with the ancestors, they're doing the best they can. They're trying to survive. So if you are here and you have a deeper awareness, then you are the one that's meant to help transform this pattern. And maybe the pattern for you is different than another ancestor at your current age or a sibling, right? Like maybe your pattern is something that's different from their pattern. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. And then I'll give you an example of a really interesting one that came up in a recent session. So as we start, I want you to think about these questions. I'm going to pose some questions to you so you can already start thinking about your family line, right? Your lineage, your generational lineage on both sides of the family, because you have your sets of parents, your sets of great-grandparents, and so on and so on. And all of them came together to the point that you became you, right? And you have all of that in your DNA carried forward, the good, the bad, whatever you want to, however you want to perceive it. So, how does ancestral fear or heaviness arise during the holiday season? That's why we're talking about this on today's show as we move into the holidays. And how can you invite love to soothe that, right? Love sometimes is loving silence, and sometimes it's speaking loving truth and picking and choosing how and when to do that. And then some simple rituals that you can use to honor your ancestors and release the old burdens, all right? So as we move on from this and move through the show, I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Inhale light, exhale heaviness, and move from a place of contraction to expansion. When you're in that expanded space, you're opened up, and you're more open to understanding and clearing. So let's talk about the ancestral wounds. You are the result of your ancestors having lived. That's it. Whether it was a short time, a long time, you are here because they were here before you. and it's in your DNA, it's in your lineage, and your ancestors walk beside you in spirit. So just know that they are here with you. When you're thinking about them, sometimes they are sending signals to make you think about them, especially around the holidays as you remember them. And your DNA also carries the strength and the clarity to help you break the old patterns. And this is a way to complete generational work that began a long time ago. So, family wounds, think of them like echoes that are of past events, choices, things that were said or not said, actions taken, not taken, or not knowing what to do or how to heal them. This is the starting point. Tuning into this wisdom deep inside you, tuning into the echo that these wounds carry, that is the starting point. Whether you're doing this work by journaling, whether you're doing this work by a session, you tap into the deeper messages as you look deeper and you find that quiet space to do that. So I want to mention it's not about blame. It's not about blaming someone for what they did or didn't do. That's just going to keep you stuck. It's about recognizing patterns and then transforming them so that you don't perpetuate the pattern, the negative pattern that has been negatively impacting the family. So, learning to come from love and give love where it was missing is the key. All right. Coming from the most loving moment that you can, the most loving expression that you can in that moment is the key to rising above. And, this pain may have created distance, fear may have created control, shame may have created silence. These are some of those patterns that get carried forward, and we have the opportunity to break them and react with love and compassion and to live our lives more fully. Understanding that your ancestors didn't have the tools that you have or didn't have the opportunity that you have. Circumstances were such that they didn't or couldn't, and you are able to make these changes because you have a bigger awareness, a deeper awareness, and you have the benefit of both sides of your lineage supporting you. So when opposites attract, it sometimes brings in a strength in a lineage that wasn't there before, and then that results in the children of those opposites. So let's talk about pain. Pain is not weakness. Pain is because your heart is open. Your heart got hurt because it was open, and your feelings got hurt. So it's important to allow yourself to be open again. Step out of the roles that have been forced upon you. Set new boundaries, boundaries that respect yourself and others. Include yourself in that formula when you're setting boundaries. And boundaries don't have to be rude or mean, they just have to be, you have to know where the line is and let someone know that you're not comfortable if they cross that line because it hurts your feelings or it's changing the mood or the tone of the gathering, right? So it's about setting aside struggle, but bringing in peace so that you can be open to love again, right? Your feelings got hurt, you shut down, allow yourself to release that from your heart and allow yourself to love again. That is key because love washes away the fear. Love transcends these patterns. It helps to not perpetuate them. So just taking a deep breath as we're going through some of these points that I want to mention, taking a deep breath, exhaling, releasing constriction, allowing yourself to expand, as these memories may be coming up just by listening to the show. So, as you're setting aside the struggle, you're making room for peace. You're making room for love and acceptance. And the healing, it happens in stages. So, it doesn't happen overnight. There's a process, it's a process leading you to even start looking at it and opening up. And then there's a process that you go through that takes a look at the wound in another way, looks at the pattern in another way, and tries to understand it. And, your ancestors, it was about survival. But we've come to a place now where it's about living fully, expressing ourselves. In the past, it was not safe to express in certain times in history. Or if you were a woman, you had to certain restrictions. And if you were a man, you had other restrictions. So it's not just one gender that experienced these things. And then if you were gay in a past life, that was a whole nother thing. And whether it was accepted, certain cultures it was accepted, and other cultures it was not. But understanding that you chose to be born at this time in history, your soul chose this for a purpose. And you move through those stages of healing and into peace. And as you do, you're recognizing the wounds and recognizing the fears. You're releasing with love by bringing in gratitude for the wisdom and the strength that you've gained through these experiences. You have the benefit of looking at what your ancestors did if they were living, what they did or didn't do, and learning from that so you can make better choices. So there's something about the gift that they've given you that is an opportunity for your own healing as well, so that you don't make some of the same mistakes. Some of it is learned behavior, but it gets ingrained in the DNA. And then some of it is other physical patterns that get ingrained into the DNA. And as we're healing these ancestral lines, it flows out in ripples through from us out in all directions of time, back to the ancestors, forward to the future in the family lineage. And it really does help release the emotional weight of these ancestral patterns that began a long time ago and then were perpetuated by circumstance, by not knowing how to change them. So, releasing the emotional weight of those patterns gives you a strength. The strength lies in the presence. It is about being in the present without judgment. It's about listening and not judging. Listening with caring, listening to understand, but without judging. Okay? And as hypnotherapists, that's what I teach my students to do, is to listen to your clients share the most painful stories that they've experienced. They talk about family lines, patterns that have been passed down, and to listen without judgment so that you can help them move through to transform it so that they can be that bridge. And the body and the emotions are receivers. They're receivers of the information that they experience. And so the heart can shut down or it can open. So using tears, using laughter as part of the healing process is really important. But avoid overthinking or filling up time with noise, right? Find some silence, allow silence, let it serve as a medicine. Let silence come in and sit with it so that you can listen to the deeper truths as you explore your ancestors. When I was studying with Roger Wolger, we traced our ancestors. I traced mine back to the 1600s on one side of the family, and I think 1700s on the other side. But more recently, I was able to talk to a couple of the elders who were still alive about people that had lived in the past 100 years and even before that, and some of the stories that got passed down about them. So you could start to understand things by the way they acted or didn't act. um, you could start to see patterns. And then we explored this in his training. And, we explored the DNA that we carry and brought up some of these patterns. And patterns don't always have to be negative. Let me just clarify that. Patterns can be positive, like the strength and the resilience that you carry as a result of being here. That them being here, you being born, pursuing, persevering, the resilience that you carry, the fact that you're here now, right? Those are positive patterns. And you can be a productive member of society, or you could not, you could have other patterns that are not so good, but you could also be nurturing. So these are positive patterns that get passed down, and we can bring more of that in. It's the negative patterns that are holding the family back or re-wounding, like piercing that wound over and over again, that are really not helping the family move forward. And that's what you can be, a bridge to help heal and break those patterns so that you can echo a new energy that moves through the ancestral lines. You can choose truth over avoidance. You can choose compassion over bitterness. You can choose rest over self sacrifice, where you give too much, right? Giving too much is a negative pattern. Um, being more compassionate instead of judgmental helps change a negative pattern. Um, not avoiding situations, but speaking truth changes the pattern, and it teaches the new generation a new pattern. It shows them by example. Now they have tools available to them to fall back on. So as you're doing this, your ancestors, your ancestors are here cheering you on. They are right by your side, and you're breaking the patterns that they could not. They know this, and they're here with you as they do. And you're also creating patterns that they never imagined possible. So let's talk real quickly about the mother's lineage. The mother's side is the heart. Often patterns of scarcity of affection, safety, feeling unsafe, being seen, shrinking to survive, caring more than their share while pretending to need nothing. These are patterns that get created, or not knowing how to nurture because they were never nurtured themselves. So these are negative patterns. Your mother carries your heart. Your father's lineage is a steadier, quieter part that often carries a wound of distance. Because men were taught to harden and hide their hearts, they were taught duty over connection. They were taught love came through work and protection, silence, producing, but rarely through presence. In fact, sometimes they were shamed for being present and not making every penny that they could, right? So there's a mixed message there. So they're not always showing up emotionally because they don't know how to. And they also were often, they were tongue-tied. They were also often being sent off. So they were physically not present. So they were being judged by these things, and these patterns may have left you or their children, and then you might be the result of those children, may have created a pattern of abandonment or emotional absence or pressure to be strong without support. So when you have the ability to transform all of this and know that your sensitivity is your tool. If you're the sensitive one in the family, that is your tool, that is your gift, because you're sensitive and you can see beyond some of the things that were happening. So it's your choice. What will you choose? You can bring together both lines. You are the meeting point of those lines, searching for balance. And from one side may have come too much responsibility, the other, too much silence. So you are creating a new pattern, love that does not cost you yourself. That's really what we're looking for, love, but that you include yourself in that. And remember that you're not alone. Your mother holds your heart, your father's line steadies your steps, and you're the bridge between the old stories and the new, the old energy and the new. So your energy, you and your energy, because of all the ancestors on both sides that came together to create you, gives you what you need to transform and heal those long neglected ancestral wounds by the new choices that you're making, by not repeating the pattern, by understanding the pattern, stopping for a moment and not saying those hurtful things that perpetuate the pattern. Stop, catch yourself, come from the highest expression of love that you can in the moment, whether that's silence where you would have spoken out, maybe hold back for a moment, be silent, think about it, and then speak. But if you're someone that always holds back and never expresses how you feel, then you're the one that needs to express and speak and put your opinion on the table, put your expression on the table, along with everyone else's, so that you can break that pattern in the mother's lineage by choosing rest over guilt, expressing truth instead of swallowing it, allowing softness without fear, and allowing yourself to receive support. Because you're the first in a long time, in a long, long line of people that are honoring your feelings. Your feelings, your sensitivity is your gift. And then to heal your father's ancestral line, allow vulnerability instead of armor. Don't put up the walls. Allow vulnerability. Seek connection over abundance. That'll bring balance. You can have abundance, but connect with those around you. Release the belief that you must handle everything alone, and open your heart without fear of being weak so that you can bring truth into your lineage moving forward. And then this ripples backwards over time. So you don't betray the ancestors. I want to share messages from from my client sessions. You do not betray us by growing beyond what our family did not understand. You are safe to release resentments. You are moving out of confusion into clarity, out of doubting yourself into steadfastness. So allow yourself and allow us to surround you with light so that you can allow peace to ripple forward and back along our ancestral roots. And I want to share a recent session that I had that even brought me to do this show. And an ancestor showed up in a past life session. And my client was wanting to work on something that was unresolved in her family, is continuing to impact the family today. The elders, the older people in the family were like, leave the past in the past and leave it alone. And my client, she wants to tell this ancestor story to bring the truth of her pain to light so that everyone can heal from it. So just briefly, it was the 1900s. She was unwed, pregnant, sent away. The baby was taken away. And she just wants to find her ancestor's grave, put flowers on it to honor this ancestor and to find the missing child. The ancestor emerged and said, I won't do this for you, but it's easy. It couldn't be easier. You don't have to search records. You don't have to go to Ellis Island. Just send a saliva sample and you'll find it. It was one of the most practical sessions I've ever had. And she said, everything has been leading you here. So I want to leave you with that. And we'll find out later, what she uncovers as she moves forward from that session. But her ancestor was there, has been there all along, guiding her across the ocean, and a couple of oceans actually, to get to this place to find her. So you are the result of your ancestors. You have been listening to the Afterlife teacher, Bryn Blankinship here, and sit with it and see what comes through for you. And follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and have a great rest of your day. You've been listening to Afterlife Teacher, Soul Lessons bringing you full circle with Bryn Blankinship. Tune into Transformation Talk Radio for more discussions of the soul's journey across different lifetimes and soul lessons gained, helping you to consider the deeper reason you are here. Bryn shares her wisdom spanning 20 years of guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and connecting them with their spiritual team and soul's purpose to bring them full circle, helping you gain insight into your own soul's purpose while supporting others in fulfilling theirs. Living in partnership with your soul, with less worry and greater trust, you can be in divine flow and thrive. For more information on becoming a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist and assisting with the global transformation taking place, visit brynblankinship.com.